U.S. Republican presumptive presidential nominee Donald Trump early this week said he will no longer issue press credentials to the Washington Post, stopping the publication from gaining access to the press area at his presidential campaign events. Now, the Washington Post, based in the U.S. Capitol, is one of the country's most influential newspapers. It is unusual for a presidential campaign to refuse to issue credentials to news organizations. Now, for an examination of the Republican Party presumptive presidential nominee's relationship with the media, Rob Mahoney, Deputy Executive Director, Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, joins me live from New York. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, should the media be concerned about a possible presidency of Mr. Donald Trump?
Absolutely, because the candidate is behaving in a way which is aggressive towards the press by excluding reporters. And I think the fear is that if the candidate behaves like this, would the president, if Trump were elected, would he behave in the same way of attacking, vilifying, and physically excluding reporters who write stories that he doesn't like?
Mm-hmm. Now, some, especially on the continent of Africa, are starting to draw comparisons with some of those, repressive regimes like, the Mugabes, those ones in Eritrea who do not condone or tolerate any free media. Can the U.S. get to that level anyway?
No, there are institutional protections for speech in the United States which don't exist to the same extent in many other countries. So one would hope that the rule of law would obtain and that journalists would be allowed to do their jobs freely. But it's the tone of this campaign from Trump that is concerning. And it's also the fact that it provides an example of bad behavior for authoritarian leaders in Africa and elsewhere who can cite what is happening in the U.S. as an example to justify their own behavior.
Now, what can the media do at this point to counter that kind of attempt by Mr. Trump?
Well, the media can act in many different ways. The journalists can band together and just outright refuse to acknowledge this ban by insisting that the Washington Post and others be allowed into events, be accredited, or no one will go. That's one way of collective action. No one has done that yet. And by reporting on it and making it very difficult for the Trump campaign to go anywhere without their behavior towards the press being part of the conversation. There are many different ways that journalists can do this. Even by holding this interview now, I hope that we're contributing to airing the issue and putting pressure on the Trump campaign to reconsider its decision to ban the Washington Post from covering the candidate for one of the highest elective offices in the world.
We hope it will stop. Thank you very much, Rob.
You're welcome.
Well, Rob Mahoney is Deputy Executive Director, Committee to Protect Journalists, speaking to us live via Skype from New York.